Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to the Deal Scout. On today's show, we're going to talk about the world of AI in sales. With that, let's have a conversation with the guy who's building those kind of companies and making AI work for you, Mr. Thomas Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Hey Josh, how are you?
I'm freaking awesome, man. I'm so glad you're here, and both in the wonderful country of Florida. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it is like its own country, right?
Exactly, exactly. So, Thomas, who are you, man?
Who am I? So I'm CEO and founder of Bigly Sales. I founded Bigly in 2020, and we started off as a send-in platform and have really since morphed from that into an AI company where we're layering AI on top of everything that we do internally for our business as well as for our clients.
Got it. Now, how does that work in the world of deal making? Like, how does AI in deal maker, combined?
Yeah, so no, that's a great question. Um, AI is going to transform business more in the next 5 years than the internet has in the last 30. It's going to transform literally everything that we do. So everything that a person does on a computer right now, AI can already do better, is close to doing better, or will be doing better within a couple of years. Everything. Um, so if you're a luminary in your field, you're probably still better than AI in that particular facet, but you won't be for long. So, I mean, it's really just going to be absolutely transformative. What we're doing is we're using it for sales and for service. So, and really service support, right? If you think about any big company right now, they get a deluge of emails that they need to deal with. And then they have someone on the other end of those trying to answer those questions, look up, see how to deal with them, see what to do, try to triage. Is it is it a big problem? Is it a little problem? So, like we have a company that we're dealing with, and they ask you, hey, how would you rate the issue on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being critically severe, one being not that big a deal? And like they ask you to triage for them, right? Because
Mhm.
they have more stuff than they can handle. And pretty much every business I deal with, it takes them a long time to answer these requests.
Yeah,
It's slow. Um, Oftentimes, they'll just send you an article, usually one that is totally unrelated to whatever your problem is, right? The first time that you ask them for help, and oftentimes, if not, they'll have someone get back to you. Maybe it takes a few minutes, maybe it takes a few days, maybe it takes a few weeks, maybe they just never get back to you, depending on how good their support system is. So AI can transform that overnight. They can take all their company data, it can be fed in there, it can answer most of these questions instantaneously for folks. It can actually answer the question that they want rather than just grab some keywords and send them an article that, oh, you mentioned the word billing. Here are 5 articles on billing, right? Um, and it should be able to replace level one support in 2024 for pretty much everyone. Now I
wow,
know everyone isn't going to do it in 2024, but it's going to move so much faster than these other things have because the cost savings that they're going to get is just going to be astronomical.
for sure. Yeah, and I mean, we're running into these situations now, right? I go, to call a bank or to, call one of the tech companies or the software that I use.
Love
Right?
calling banks, right? Always a great time.
Yeah, it's terrible. Or you go to their website and you go chat now, and then you type in your thing and just goes, sorry, I don't understand. Please try to rephrase it. And then you type it in again. And then by the end of it, you're clicking, talk with a customer service representative. You never get through. So then I just go cancel my subscription. I'm like, well, screw that, right? If I
Mhm.
can't figure it out on my own and I can't get a hold of someone and nobody's responding to my email, I'm done. I'm not going to waste money. That's on the customer service side. I really get how you know AI can make that more beneficial rather than if A then B kind of thing. What about on the sales side? What about on the prospecting side, the outbound side? Where are we seeing AI go? Where it'll be outbound where I don't even know an AI is talking to me or something like that. Like where do you see the future of that going?
So we're working on that. We're working on that for voice right now, right? Where literally the AI will be able to field a phone call, answer the phone. You can clone any voice out there today, right? So one of the guys in my AI group, because I'm in an AI group, Miami, a bunch of guys who are doing this professionally, running businesses, just practitioners who use it every day. Um, he put together an ad and he cloned Joel Osteen's voice, and they told him like, you can't play this, like you can't put this on the internet, but um, it sounded exactly like Joel Osteen, like preaching about like how you should get, throw off the shackles of the chains of debt. In the Bible, in this verse, it says to do this. And like you just couldn't tell. I mean, you couldn't tell it wasn't him,
Wow.
right? So they can clone anyone's voice these days. That already works perfectly. They can understand chat live. The only issue that we're having with getting the phone calls live right now is the latency. There's still some latency issues that we're dealing with, but these are going to be solved shortly, right? We're expecting to have this out first quarter. Where what we're going to start with is doing form fills, because we're doing a lot of things with leads for businesses, where we can take a live call, we can have it answer 4 or 5 questions, go back and forth with the person, and then be able to transfer that to somewhere else. But I think it will be able to replace a lot of the customer service reps, a lot of the appointment setters, a lot of the, kind of step one for sales and for any business on the planet in any language, you know.
Right.
So one of the cool things, like we have a lot of the autoresponders set up for email, text, right, chatbots, things like that. So someone will be speaking in English, or it'll say something in English, or someone say, "Oh, Espanol," and they'll write the same thing in Spanish or in French. Like it'll just go on the fly. Someone says a word in French, and it'll write the whole thing back to him in French. Someone will write something in Chinese, will write the whole thing back in Chinese. Right.
That's
So
crazy. Right? So like
yeah,
you're saying pretty soon. I mean, we're not quite there yet because there's a latency. So describe latency. Is that where I ask a question like, "Hey, Tom, it's good to see you, man," and then AI's thinking, "Good to see you too, Josh." Right? Is that what you mean by latency?
yeah, that's exactly it. So we have to do an API call. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? We're using Claude and ChatGPT on the back end. We do an API call to them. And there's a little bit of time for that API call. If we're calling to 11 Labs do voices, there's a little bit of time for that API call. If we have to do something to take the voice coming in and get it into a format that ChatGPT can process, there's an API call there. So you start stacking these things together, and now it's 2, 3, 5 seconds, right? And that's just too slow for a phone call.
Right. Yeah,
So
it'll feel weird conversationally, but over time, latency is going to disappear.
absolutely. Oh, I mean, we think we can figure it out internally here in the next couple of months. It's just we have to co-locate somewhere else. Maybe we have to use a different API provider for some of the things. We're actually having a support call with our API guys
Mhm.
tomorrow to see if we can get a live stream like they have on Twilio. If not, maybe we have to switch Twilio on the back end. But these are all solvable problems. These aren't the. I mean, we're talking months, not years.
Wow. Is
And
there
I know
any,
there's a bunch of guys working on this. We're not the only ones.
yeah, is there any, there's so many things that this could be used for good. There's also things that could be used for damage, right? Like someone could, I've been on 2000 podcast interviews, right? So like someone could, like, through everything I've said, can say anything they want because I probably said all the words in my vocabulary over the years of doing this. So like someone could literally have a bot tell me or speaking exactly for me to my wife, my kids, whatever.
Yeah, it's worse than that. They could probably do it with about 10 seconds of your voice,
Oh,
right? Maybe even less. They would be able to take your voice, clone it. If you want it to be really good, maybe they need to use 5 or 10 minutes, right? But um, they could literally take your voice, clone your voice, and have it do anything. So if your bank is using voice recognition, right? Maybe they could call your bank. They think it's you. There's a problem. I need to move this money to another account, right? Something that we're hearing is happening already. Like my mom says, she get called every couple of weeks now, and someone's like, "Grandma, it's me." right? And they're like, you're not my child. You're not you're not my grandson or my granddaughter, right? That they just keep trying to scam my mom because she's old, right? So there's people like literally trying to scam, like, grandma, it's me. Well, if they call actually using my daughter's voice because they found her voice on the internet, well, now that's going to be powerful. Now grandma's going to be, oh my God, there's a problem and you need me to send $2,000 immediately? Hold on, right? So, yeah, all of these things are coming. They're only going to get worse. Like, there's absolutely a dark side to this. If you look at misinformation, people are like, oh, there's misinformation on the internet. Well, if you create, I don't know, 10,000 bots on Twitter, and now you hook an LLM to them and you have them all post something, it's all going to be unique now. It's all going to be written in different tone by different people, right? It's not just going to be the same comment over and over and over.
Wow.
Well, have them all post 1,000 times a day and have them all comment on something 1,000 times a day, right? Now you're having thousands times thousands, right? So you're saying, okay, now we're going to have 10, 100 million, a billion messages a day. Well, I don't think there's a billion messages a day on Twitter, right? So you could literally overload the entire server with whatever someone wants. So someone with an agenda and AI and just a little bit of coin behind them could be able to go and change any debate and do that on any of the social media platforms, right? So all of this stuff is good. When Elon said, like, the bots are going to take over in 2024 if we don't start charging users, he was right. But even if you start charging users, for you to come up with, I mean, if you want to really shape policy and you have a budget of $1 million a month, you wouldn't even need that, right? A couple hundred
Wow.
grand, you could really move the needle. And I mean, there's all sorts of things like this that you can do where everything you'll be able to do it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times faster and more efficiently using this. So, I mean, there's also, and I'm not even going to get into the stuff like they've put this on planes already, like with fighter pilots, and it's beating Top Gun pilots, right? Like, it's beating Top Gun pilots like
Not Goose.
999 times out of 1,000. Um, that they put the AI on there and they train it, and it just, its reflexes are better than yours or mine. Certainly better than mine, right? So like, yeah, there's some crazy things that are going to happen with this. It's not the Skynet Terminators taking over. It's really autocomplete right now. But they can feed so much data into this thing, and it can learn so fast. Like, it will be able to just beat humans at pretty much any task like that. So driving, flying, writing, viewing images, looking at, creating images. Like, these are all things it's already better. You know,
Wow.
that's
So
today.
how do we know what's authentic and what's not?
You don't. You don't. Nothing's authentic anymore. Authenticity is dead. I thought when the internet came out, it was going to be the new printing press and it was going to lead to, where everyone has knowledge, but you have to think that you can't believe anything you see or hear. You don't know what is authentic and what is not anymore, that they can literally use your image and your voice and they could create something, saying how, you want to exterminate everyone on earth and, kill everyone. And, it's be like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. Right. But they could put that together in, 15 minutes if they wanted to. Right. My graphic designer who could put that together in 15 minutes, offshore, and it's not even difficult.
Wow. So how does oh man, holy moly. So right? Like so for deal makers, right? So how do we get on the front end of this in a way that's good, but that also is, massively profitable? Like how could salespeople use this? How could
Yeah.
businesses use this to boost sales?
So
Like where should we be putting
I,
our focus?
I talked about the dark side. This is like anything else, right?
Yeah.
There is a good and a bad to everything.
Yeah.
So, for businesses, this is going to make every business, especially big businesses, it's going to make them all more profitable.
Yeah.
So I can see this raising the entire value of the S&P 500 over the next 4 or 5 years just tremendously. That there's so many things they can automate. There's so many tasks that they handle poorly right now that they can improve. There's a lot of stories about people coming into companies and they're like, yeah, I improved the profitability of this unit in the business 50% in 2 weeks. Right. Like literally, like it took us 2 weeks and we've increased their profit. We've cut their costs 50%. We've increased their efficiency 300%. It took us a month. It took us a week. It took and there's story after story after story like that, kind of everywhere you look. And it's just starting. Like every big business should be grabbing someone who's really good at this, or a bunch of guys who are really good at this, and saying, you should be going into every business unit. In this unit, how can you make it more efficient? How can you save money? How can you save time? How can you, increase efficiency? Right? And any of these manual tasks that are taking place are prime places where you'll be able to do this. I was talking to some guys who were doing this for trucking companies, right? And these guys worked in trucking. That's just why they did it for trucking companies. They would see every time an order would come in, they would have to manually kind of enter this thing. They'd take it from one computer and enter it into another system by hand. And every time it took them a half hour or something. And if they were a decent sized trucking company, they might get 1,000 of these a day.
Wow.
Well, that's 500 hours a day. And now ChatGPT can do that pretty much instantaneously, right? They do an API call to ChatGPT. ChatGPT does that instantaneously. It saved them 475 hours a day. Right. It saves, that's like what, 12 people.
Wow.
Right. So, overnight they can basically, they get that set up. It takes them a few weeks to get it set up. And now it sells them 12, people a day of work. And all those guys are probably getting paid 50, 70, 100 grand, whatever the number is. Right. And it's every department in the company is the exact same thing. So big companies are going to use this. They're going to save a lot of money on this very, very quickly.
So how do we AI proof ourselves where, I mean, this is philosophical question, right? Like maybe it's philosophical. Like how do we prevent the bad? How do we get the good? And how do we make sure that it doesn't turn into the Terminator?
So a couple of things. I'll answer this in 3 parts.
Okay.
Number one, learn these tools now, right? If you haven't played around with ChatGPT, learn it. It can teach you how to do literally everything, right? You can, especially if you're doing stuff on a computer, it's ridiculously good at this stuff. Like if you don't know how to code, it can teach you how to code, right? If you're looking to try to do something on your computer, I need to transfer all my data from one computer to another, and I don't know how to do it, right? Boom, it'll show you how to do it. It'll take 5 minutes. It'll walk you through. You don't understand a step, it'll explain it to you in excruciating detail, right? You get an error, you say, I got this error, and it says, oh, if you got this error, this must have happened, and then blah, 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 right? And now you have all the answers. So anything that is technology based, it is amazing. I mean, just amazing, especially now they can access the internet. It can literally, even if it hasn't really seen much of it, it can go out and find the latest documentation, scour the whole internet for you, and come up with the right answer like 95% of the time in a couple of seconds. Right. So start playing around with them, start using it. Like that's number one. Number two, don't just believe anything you see or read. If you see something and it looks a little off to you, or if you're getting something, take a step back and say, wait a minute, this might be fake now. Right. Well, that was my friend's voice calling me and they said they needed help. Give them a call back, hang up, call them back. Right.
Yeah.
Anything, oh my God, I need money, right? It's just like you get an email. I need money. I was overseas and I lost my phone and you were the only person I thought of, number 200 in my address book, right? It's probably not real, right? So
Yeah.
you got to think the scams are going to get more effective. A lot of the stuff is going to seem more effective. They will be able to do things with voice. They can already do it with voice, right? So just because you hear someone's voice doesn't mean it's real anymore. you know, so just take a step back. You know, anything you see, anything you read, right? Is this actually real? You know, is this authentic? And you got to just take a step back and say, you know, maybe it is, and not be so trusting. You know, I wasn't that trusting to begin with, so that was easy for me. But um, you know, you really have to kind of think critically about, you know, what's real and what isn't. And just for the long-term benefits, this is a story I liked. So if you go back to the founding of the country, you know what 90% of the people did?
Farm.
We farmed. That's exactly right. And they were all farmers. 90% of the workforce was farmers. So if you told them, hey, by 200 years from now, only 5% of the people are going to be farming, or 7%, or whatever the number is, they'd say, well, what are the rest of us going to be doing? We're all going to be sitting around with nothing to do. Let's smash the farm equipment, right? They actually had the Luddites, right? When the Industrial Revolution came around, they would go in and they'd smash the machines at night, right? Because the machines were taking their jobs, you know. Well, guess what? We're all better off to not have to work in the fields anymore to be able to eat to survive, right? It led to huge growth and productivity, and everyone lives in big houses now and has televisions and iPhones, and none of this stuff would exist if you had to be in the fields working all day so you could feed yourself, right? So I am a big believer that over time, this is going to lead to another renaissance for humanity, that it is going to take all these these like meaningless things. Like if your job is answering a support call, you know, because someone doesn't know how to reset their password. I get it, that's your job today, but there's probably something better you could be doing with your life. You know, I mean, my job was to pick the cotton, and now I can't pick cotton anymore. I've lost my meaning. Right? There's probably a better purpose for someone out there, right? So I fully believe that this is going to lead to a renaissance for humanity. That it's going to lead to huge productivity gains. That people can work on things that are meaningful, work on things that they love, work on maybe not work at all. Maybe they'll start doing a universal basic income or something like that for some. I know I shouldn't say that, right? And I'm a libertarian, so but it's, I mean, it's going to lead to huge productivity gains for humanity as a whole. And over the next 5 years, yeah, there's going to be some growing pains, right? Someone's going to have a job, and that job's going to go away. And it was like, I did the data entry where I took the data from this computer and I entered it into that computer. Now I don't have to do that anymore. And, I'm mad because my income is gone. But there will be other things that they can do. For any kind of layperson out there, if you figure out how to use these tools and you're ahead of the curve,
Yeah,
you'll be able to do things in minutes that used to take days, weeks.
it's crazy.
So go and start playing with these tools, start figuring out, like my daughter is doing a children's book. She's putting into ChatGPT. It's coming up with the illustrations on the fly, right? And then we're writing the thing on top of it. We're going to publish. She's 9, by the way. We're going to publish it to the Kindle, and she literally speaks into it, and it, puts together what she wants, and then she cuts and pastes that and puts it into another document. And anyway, we're going to have a whole children's book done here in a few weeks, and we're going to publish that. And I couldn't have done this, in a year if I spent all my time on this 5 years ago. Like, I mean, I couldn't have even dreamed of doing this. I'm going to illustrate an entire book for little children, right? I can't draw. I mean, how am I going to do this? And now a 9-year-old can do it with no money.
Wow. So what about the, AI or ChatGPT doesn't do images, right? I thought
Oh, it
that was
does.
something.
No. So I'm sorry, you heard about ChatGPT a month ago, right? Because every couple weeks now, they're literally coming out
Mm.
with new features on all of these things where it's changing, literally by almost the day. So yeah, now they have their Dolly product. They've integrated that into ChatGPT, so you can just throw it in there and it'll start spitting out images for you. The other one that I liked is Stable Diffusion's okay. I really like the pictures that you get from Midjourney, right? I think ChatGPT probably does a better job of understanding your prompts than Midjourney does. Midjourney has really cool artwork, like especially if you're into like sci-fi, fantasy type stuff. Like it just comes up with these amazing, images that are unbelievably detailed in 15, 20 seconds. So you put it in and 20 seconds later, boop, out of pops.
Boom, done.
Yeah.
Wow. So I love this conversation because, as we talk about the AI renaissance for, for deal makers and such like that, we've touched on many different things on how this could increase productivity, how it could automate and increase scale, sales and scale. Holy moly. Like for me, I used to I was once a cold caller. I had to
Yep.
call 100 businesses a day. And that was
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
The
Brutal job.
AI doesn't, an AI robot or whatever will not tire of dialing thousands and thousands of numbers a day.
Josh, let me put it to you a different way.
Yeah.
Say, and again, they're changing the TCPA rules. They're getting ahead of this, right? Because they know it's coming. And they know it's coming quick. And
Yeah.
we're working on the phone tech, right? So if you think about this, you're a business, you got 2 sales reps, right? And they're making their 200 calls a day. We'll just say 100 a person. Now I want to scale up and I want to do 2,000 calls a day, right? So I got to hire 18 more guys. I'm going to have turnover. I'm going to have some of those guys not show up, right? Some of the guys are going to show up. They're going to get on the phone. They're going to go to lunch the first day and never come back, right? Because it's a hard job.
Yep.
They're going to get to Friday. They're going to break down in tears. And I used to run a call, an outbound call center. So
Okay. So you know
these
the
are all
drill.
things I would actually see. Like the person would go to lunch and never come back. The person would start crying like after work, like I just can't do it anymore. And like you had to have a thick skin for this stuff. Like,
Sure.
I mean, thick skin, right? So anyway, you're going to have a huge amount of attrition in those sorts of jobs. And then you're going to have all the other issues with the people who are doing those jobs, where some of the people are just flat out crazy, and, all sorts of issues that you run into. So I got to scale up. Now I got to train all these people as well. And I got to teach them everything that they need to know. Right. And then I want to scale up. Now we want to go to 20,000 calls a day. Now I got to hire, 180 more people. And that 180, I'd probably have to hire 500 to get to that 180.
Yeah.
And then I want to go up again. I want to go to I want to go to 200,000. Well, with an AI, you can go, okay, tomorrow we're going to go up 10x, right? It's working well for a week. Next week we're going to go up 10x. It's working well. We're going to go up 10x, right? So for all intents and purposes, you've taken off all the limitations that are out there, which is why they're passing these rules right now to say, hey, someone has to opt in to get a call, right? They just changed the TCPA rules that someone has to opt in to get a call, because otherwise what was going to happen was in 2024, 2025, there was going to be businesses that would literally be able to call everyone in America every day. Right.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if there's 1,000 businesses that could call everyone in America every day to try to pitch whatever they were selling? Right. Because that's where we were going if we didn't do this. You've taken off all the constraints.
Wow. Wild, wild west.
Yeah. So they actually just changed the rules on this. So we're actually setting up a lot of these sales processes for people. We're working on literally tens of millions of dollars of contracts that we've gotten in the last few months. And what's happening is, it all has to start with an ad, a Google ad, a Facebook ad, a Pinterest ad, X ad. They don't call it Twitter anymore, right? And then that person, says opts in, or does a dial, a paper call, or a form fill or whatever. And then, you start automating out a string of messages to them, texts, emails, etc., because they've now opted into this. And it's going to be one-to-one. It used to be that you could basically resell their data as many times as you want. But now it has to be an opt-in basis, and you can't resell that data to a data partner. It has to be one company. So ABC company is the, person on record who owns that data. They're the only ones who are going to be able to call that person, versus being sold 100 times down the line, right? Which is the way it worked as of like a week ago. And
Wow.
then set up autoresponders for anything, push the, have the autoresponders, use the AI to push them towards a goal, whatever that goal might be, to call, to book an appointment. And we have the AI where it can, tell them, hey, call this number, or, hey, let's set up a call. Let's set up an appointment. Okay, we're going to be at your house Tuesday at, 3:30, and then we'll send automated reminders out so the person doesn't forget.
Wow.
So those are all the things that I've been working on.
So exciting. Makes me nervous, but at the same time, I love your illustration. Like, are we gonna go? 200 years ago, we talked to all the farmers, and the farmers go, "Oh, that's gonna freak us out." Let's not, you know, evolve or whatever, right? So, like, great illustration. I appreciate you sharing this, and thank you for walking us through the world of AI. Because to be honest, man, I've been playing on it, but I'm not even anywhere close to where you guys are and what you're building. So let's
Yeah.
do this for the company that's getting that massive amount of volume for customer service, inbound inquiries and Q&A questions and all of the above. Like, what's a good place for them to connect with you and find out more information to get some help?
Just go to bigleysales.com. If you give us a call or fill out a form, we're there. We actually have a live button that you can press, and if it's during regular business hours, we'll connect you right to a live salesperson, right, who can go and help you out. For any of that automation stuff, if you want help with it, we have an SDK that is coming out, kind of any day now. So if you just want to do it yourself as a larger company and you got a big tech team of engineers who know how to do this stuff, go ahead and use that, and it'll save you a whole lot of time. And the way that we've structured it for the queries and everything, it should be cheaper just to use our SDK than to actually go and set up the API for ChatGPT yourself.
Yeah.
We have all the vector databases and stuff like that. They're set up to make the queries cheaper. So we'll actually save you money by using our SDK. Or if you just want someone to do it for you, and you're a decent sized company, and you're like, hey, can you help us out? We have 100,000 people in our system, and we want to, do outreach to them. We have this opt-in list, and we want to do outreach. We can absolutely go and set that up for you, and set this up on everything as well, right? You want this on your social media, you want this on your emails, you want this on your text messages, you want it on everything. We'll be able to handle that. You want auto responses if you guys miss a call after hours, you want, right, and then have the AI be able to actually field any responses that you get with your company data. We can absolutely do that for you.
Yeah, super cool. So what we'll do is we'll put all that information in the show notes below. So fellow deal makers in the audience, if this is you and you'd like to learn more, Tom's information will be in the show notes. So connect with our guests. Say thanks for being on the show. Thanks for opening our eyes to all the different aspects of AI, how it could be used, and how to prepare for, how to prepare for it and take advantage of it in a good way. So as always, reach out to our guests, say thank you. If you have a deal or a process or some way that helps and serves the deal maker community, head on over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, and maybe we'll get you on the show next. Till then, we'll talk to you all on the next episode. Love you guys. See ya.